Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of The Damage Report with me, John Iadarola, and someone who will be revealed in just a few seconds. Really fast, I saw one of the comments immediately was, "Hey John, almost on time today," and I thought, on one level, a professionalism level, I get it. I should have started 2 minutes ago, but on the other hand, where are you going? You can't go anywhere. You were just gonna be at home anyway. How's it going, Emma?
And
Emma
you
Vigeland
guys,
is here.
I don't normally defend John, but he's literally producing, much production help from afar, but there's only so
Totally.
much people can do. He's doing it all on his own, so I really admire his
Thank you.
fortitude.
Thank you. And obviously they're joking. I don't actually mind. But anyway, glad to have you here. And on a Tuesday of all things, glad to have
Only
you.
because I've rescheduled for the past 3 times to Wednesday.
Exactly.
My Tuesdays are kind of packed, so.
I thought your goal was to really destroy the cultural cachet that JR Wednesdays had built up over the years.
Of
since
course.
He was on Tuesdays.
I want to dismantle every traditional element of your show.
Yeah, the continuing war on JR. I don't really get it. Why can't you guys make peace? But anyway, we're going to be talking about a lot today. We've got updates on what's happening with the National Guard. Spoiler alert, it's not good. We're going to be checking in with what medicine the president is taking. You don't know what story I'm talking about. It could be anything. You don't know. What else? Nancy Pelosi. Should we clap for her or denounce her? Updates on the Ahmaud Arbery case. We're going to take a little look internationally what's going on outside of coronavirus. And then if we can get to it, one of the most dishonest graphics on Fox News that I can remember for a long time. We're going to close out the show with that. But yeah, I did want to say one or two other things before we jump into the news. First of all, I saw that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had endorsed Nabila Islam in Georgia's 7th District Democratic primary. So that is awesome news. She's been on the show, a whole bunch of times. Actually, there's a super chat coming in right now from James saying Nabila Islam has been endorsed by AOC. So yeah, very exciting. Obviously pulling for her. Second of all, I only mention this because Emma's the guest co-host today. It is, I believe, to the day, 1 year since the last episode of Game of Thrones ran. So I just thought we should mention, not for any reason.
I've actually been rewatching season 3 and reading the first book, which is taking me forever. But
yeah. What do you think of the book?
I love the book. I mean, the first book is so similar to the first season, but just very quickly, what stands out to me more is, one, John is just so much better in the book. I think he's way more complex and intelligent than they portrayed him in the show. And I also think I'm not going to blame Benioff and Weiss for once. I think Kit Harington is probably the weakest actor out of the major cast members, and I think that stands out. He's really good at the stunts and stuff, which I think is cool, but
after that burn, he's going to need Melisandre's help. Yeah.
But in terms of portraying his psychological torment about being I think it's way richer in the books. And then just rewatching season 3, oh God, the quality was so much better than even when they went off book in season 5. That was when the decline happened, and then it ended in crashing and burning in the last season. But God, the first 4 seasons are just perfect.
Yeah, I like those first 4 as well. And the others.
No.
Anyway, okay. Anyway, I also want to mention this just as a reminder. I know that we're gonna talk about coronavirus, obviously, but just as a way to visualize the magnitude of the tragedy. This was written, this tweet, I forget who said it, but it was when we were at 90,000 deaths. It's the equivalent of a full 737 crashing every day for 14 months. And it's you could watch all of Fox News today and they will not acknowledge that this is even a tragedy. And if it is, the only thing you should care about is being able to go back to Zumba and finding out where exactly in China it came from.
Yeah, blaming China. Because if there aren't literal human beings of different skin tones and ethnicities to blame, it's not a real tragedy if anyone dies.
100%. Yeah, it's an amazing line to walk where it's like, on the one hand, this is not a disaster, don't get mad about it. On the other hand, it is such a disaster that we need to know how China's to blame. But they're managing to walk that. Anyway, I can see from the chat that Zane thinks we're taking too long to get into the stories, so why don't we jump into it, Emma?
Okay. Let's do it.
Okay. Little slap in the face for National Guard members who have been helping deal with the pandemic across the country. More than 40,000 of them currently helping states test residents for the coronavirus and trace the spread of infections will face a hard stop on their deployments on June 24th. So we know ahead of time that they're going to be called back at that point. And the slap in the face isn't just that they're doing their duty. States are so thankful of all of the help that they provided, and they're going to be stopped from doing that long before their help is no longer needed. No, it's this. It's that a senior FEMA official acknowledged during a call that the June 24 deadline that we talked about means that thousands of members who first deployed in late March will find themselves with only 89 days of duty credit, one short of the 90-day threshold for qualifying for early retirement and education benefits under the post-9/11 GI Bill. Just a coincidence that they're going to be called back way premature, and one day premature of when they'd get extra benefits for all of the work they've done, potentially exposing themselves to coronavirus and helping those who have been.
Well, they could just pop hydroxychloroquine every day and they'd be fine. It's pretty much the same as the extra benefits they would get. I thought this was the pro-troop party. It blows my mind that whenever mainstream media talks about the Republican Party and that they're kind of being nationalistic and giving lip service to the troops, that they don't bring up the fact that, for example, when Bernie Sanders was dealing with Veterans Affairs in the Senate, and he was the head of that, it's escaping me right now, but
committee?
Committee, Jesus. And when he was the head of that committee in the Senate, he was going all in to give veterans more benefits, to ensure that more funding was provided for their health care, for resources for them when they return from war. John McCain was on the other side trying to slash many of those benefits. And they went back and forth and back and forth. And yet the Republicans are always portrayed as the pro-troop, pro-military party. Nothing is more pro-military than paying the military. And Donald Trump is trying not to pay the military.
Exactly. And I really hope that this becomes a bigger story. It's like maybe third or fourth tier in the news today. It is so obviously indefensible. And not just like I'm seeing it and I think that it's indefensible. Their reaction to the news coming out shows that they think it's indefensible. So, for instance, top National Guard and other federal officials that were on the call when it was announced didn't dispute that cutoff. They didn't raise the possibility of an extension. And since the news has been reported, the White House has not responded to multiple requests for comment for understandable reasons, because this looks really, really bad. And even on the call, that senior FEMA official said, "We would greatly benefit from unified messaging regarding the conclusion of their services prior to hitting the 90-day mark and the retirement benefit implications associated with it." So it's like, okay, this is going to be bad. Nobody's going to like it. Let's really get on message here about why we're doing this. And it's been a bit. There doesn't seem to be a message just yet. They think, I guess, they can keep their heads down and just weather this, and that's probably going to work, honestly.
And part of the way that this may not, get enough traction that it should in the media is because people in the military and the National Guard, they're hamstrung from really speaking out publicly, and so it's almost extra cruel, because Donald Trump and the Republicans can rob them of benefits that they've deserved and worked hard for and certainly put their lives at risk for, because basically he's the commander in chief and they're not allowed to speak out, at least, with their names publicly. And so they're able to kind of silently take away their benefits, and under the cover of that kind of rulemaking. And so that's what makes it even kind of grosser to me.
Exactly. And also, so I'm primarily concerned about the fact that these people who have spent, they will have spent 89 days effectively out there helping, that they like, a lot of them probably signed up not necessarily for those exact benefits, but for the benefits that would come from service. The idea that you would string them along literally as long as possible before cutting them loose right before those benefits, just sick. But also the consequence for the actual states. Governors and lawmakers in both parties have been pleading with the White House to extend the federal order for several more months or until the end of the year, warning in a letter to Trump that terminating those federal deployments early in the summer, just as states are reopening, quote, could contribute to a possible second wave of infection, because of course it could. We know that we need people doing the testing and doing the contact tracing as well. Federal government seems to have no interest in doing the raw hiring necessary to fill that. Now they're going to be taking away some of the people that are already in the field that could be doing that. Again, if you had if your going theory was the White House wants as many people to get coronavirus as possible, all of the news coming out day after day makes it harder and harder to fight against that obviously crazy belief. This is a great example of that. Now, the only sort of quasi-silver lining, one of the darkest silver linings I can imagine, is that while they will be 1 day short of those benefits, the National Guard, they have had a statement saying that the 90-day threshold is cumulative, meaning that if they are deployed again this year, then they could cross that threshold. And the thing is, because of how stupid and self-defeating this strategy is, they will almost certainly have to be deployed again later this year, because everything is being done, all the cards are being lined up for a devastating second wave when we will desperately need the help of these National Guard members again.
Well, you're assuming that there is any kind of that ensuring that there isn't a second wave is a priority for the Trump administration. It's only the perception that things are getting better that they care about. Mm-hmm. And so when they get to get rid of the National Guard members from this kind of service and then also save some extra pennies in cash in terms of their benefits, as they're screwing the National Guard over, it's a bonus for them, because they want things to appear like they're better, because that's all Trump cares about. The whole presidency is marketing for him, and all of these government institutions, all of these agencies are arms of his marketing team, and we see that on a daily basis when it comes to his dealings with the coronavirus.
Yeah, and I think if it is just about controlling the perception, I mean, if people were reacting rationally to the number who have died, he would be terrified, I think, of a second wave.
But when
he doesn't
do we
have
ever,
to be.
When do we ever react? When do people ever react rationally to death? I mean, we saw this with the Iraq War. If they don't see it in front of their eyes, it's really easy for governments to get away with atrocities.
Yeah, especially if the news is distracting them with, Obama gates and stuff like that, and not acknowledging the number dead. Like, I believe that I have been. I mean, I think if you watch this show day by day, I'm being destroyed by how terrible the news is recently. I think I try to take it very seriously. I try to continually bring it back to what is most at stake here. But even my amount of coverage probably isn't actually, like, it doesn't rise to the level of the 737 crashing every single day. Fox News, like, if you were to just watch their coverage, the limited coverage that remains of coronavirus, because they've largely moved on, like, how many deaths would you say their outrage matches up with? Like, if 5?
I have people in my life who watch a lot of Fox News, older people, and they don't care. I mean, they just are. You hear Sean Hannity talk about reopen the economy, and then like 2 days later, you'll have a conversation with that person. They're like, we have to reopen the economy. I mean, it's truly like some sort of psychotic, or hypnosis or whatever. I mean, when there's no focus on deaths, none. And when you just make it about big line must go up, there's a huge fraction of the there's a huge fraction major part of this country that just isn't thinking about that, and that has that's the direct consequence of propaganda that's widespread. specifically on Fox News.
I want to see a red hat with big line must go up. That's the whole thing.
Make
Anyway.
big line up again.
Okay. Before we jump into more news, a little bit of the super chats. Carson Rodkey saying, "Hi John, thanks for sharing my Insta story yesterday." Thank you, Carson, for your Insta story. I did put up a picture of watching the damage report. Harvey, thank you for your how's it going? You know how it's going, but thank you. James Partney had said about Nabila Islam being endorsed. It would be awesome if she won that primary. I really hope so.
It's pretty crowded. It's pretty crowded primary.
It is.
What I worry about is all these grassroots or progressives. It's hard to not door knock during this time.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but.
By the way, I tweeted out one of the quotes from yesterday. There was in New York's 14th district, there was a debate. And so I tweeted out one of AOC's comments about MCC living in that $15,000 a month Trump Tower apartment. It was, more power to AOC for participating in the debate when that challenge is, it seems stupid on its face. And now that I've watched a debate with her, man, the Wall Street people throwing money her way, they need to be taxed higher because they clearly aren't thinking about what they're doing with their money.
They don't. Yeah, it's insane. I'm going to love when that idiot loses.
Yeah. Name withheld says, "What is Game of Thrones?" Don't do that. Joshua Zoom I think is speaking about John in the books. Says, "John, I have a non-romantic crush on you. John is so much better in the book than Arya. So is Arya." Yeah, that's interesting. I thought Arya was pretty good on the show.
Until later seasons when she gets stabbed in the stomach like 17 times and is totally fine.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Young Turk Wolfpack says, "Much love from Fort Bragg, California. We respect your work, John and Emma. It's okay if you're late. We've witnessed you stay late on several occasions. Thank you." And we'll probably go a little bit over today. Philosopher of Nonsense, "Please premiere your show so we can get here before the moment it starts." Well, we sort of do that on most days, but I am worried about what that does to viewership. It's too long to explain exactly why, but it is a consideration. Scott Rogers says, "Finally found Super Chat." Welcome to Super Chat, Scott. I actually have no idea how to Super Chat.
Super Chat Scott. That's your name now.
That's your new name. Change your name. Oh wow, there's been a lot of activity going on. We'll do our best to catch up. Trash over on Twitch, and we are available at twitch.tv/TYT. Trash E-Plays says, "Let Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings be the whole show." Well, we've joked about that before.
What is Twitch? I don't understand it. I know Hassan does it. That's his thing.
You don't know what Twitch is?
I don't play video games. So I know that it's a video game streaming service, but if it's a video game streaming, why are we on Twitch?
It's not just video games anymore. You can do other stuff too. So I take it you were not an avid viewer of my League of Legends stream like 7 years ago.
No. We also didn't know each other.
That's true. Simpler times. And Girl Unique says, "The two of you look gorgeous." Thank you, Girl Unique. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
By the way, Gabby over on hashtag TDR Live says, "Can Tuesdays from now on just be John and Emma talking about nerd things, Game of Thrones, Star Trek, and/or Wars, Archer, why the Yankees suck?" It's not really a nerd thing.
Oh, I would love to talk about why the Yankees suck.
Well, unfortunately, if you do want to talk sports, the only prep I have is that I've watched most episodes of The Last Dance recently.
Oh,
so
I'm
that's
behind.
about it.
Can I just 10 seconds? What do you think about Jordan? Like, do you understand his greatness in all its glory?
I mean, I didn't actively watch at the time when I was much younger. Like, I knew that he was, great or whatever. Right. I watched Space Jam. I don't know. Yeah, clearly he was amazing. I don't love some of the personality stuff. I'm not one of the people that's like, if you're good enough, anything you did, no matter how objectionable, was necessary for you to be that great. I don't necessarily agree with that. But yeah, he was very good at basketball. I will give him that. Very good at basketball.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
No, I mean, I think that like that, first of all, it's like an art form. His grace, his like complete on the basketball court. Give me a break.
On and off the basketball court, honestly.
Well, Yeah, but like just human beings aren't built like that. And also you have to have the IQ, the basketball IQ, the tenacity, the intelligence.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's great.
Kobe was similar in that way. I think it's otherworldly, and I think that that's something interesting to focus on, even though this whole docuseries is basically a commercial for everyone to buy his shoes.
Yeah, well, I'm not worried about that because I've literally never bought any of the shoes. But yes, he is very good at that game. When he wants that ball to go in that hoop, that ball goes in that damn hoop.
It is
Most of
so
the time.
much more than that.
Most of the time.
It's like a chess game, except you have to be like a physical freak.
No, I'm joking, but I get it, and I agree. He is way better at that than almost anyone is at anything.
All right.
And I'm very glad, by the way, that Twitter didn't exist back then, because great people reveal themselves on Twitter, let me tell you. Anyway, we can talk more about basketball later, Jock. We need to get on to important news, like whether Trump's heart is about to explode. Anyway, again, you don't know what story I'm talking about, viewership. Anyway, let's jump into this. We have videos. Okay. Big news yesterday. Donald Trump is taking a potentially lethal medicine for a disease he doesn't have. Or not. He wants you to believe it, though. Take a look.
A lot of good things have come out about the hydroxy. A lot of good things have come out. And you'd be surprised at how many people are taking it, especially the frontline workers, before you catch it. The frontline workers, many are taking it. I happen to be taking it.
Hydroxychloroquine?
I'm taking it, hydroxychloroquine.
When?
Right now, yeah. A couple of weeks ago, I started taking it. Because I think it's good. I've heard a lot of good stories. And if it's not good, I'll tell you right. I'm not going to get hurt by it. It's been around for 40 years for malaria, for lupus, for other things. I take it. Frontline workers take it. A lot of doctors take it. Excuse me. A lot of doctors take it. I take it. Now, I hope to not be able to take it soon because, I hope they come up with some answer.
So I don't know if he's lying because I would guess he's lying. I would guess he has financial incentives to lie about hydroxychloroquine. There are ties with the manufacturer. But it's also just about the perception that there's something out there. They stockpiled up on all of this. They want other people to take it. And the idea that it's like, oh, it's like taking an Advil. It's for malaria. It could hurt your organs. And the VA study shows that it almost had adverse effects in their specific controlled study. Yeah, I know that it wasn't exactly perfect and it only tested man ages, whatever. But yeah, I would not talk about, it's not a vitamin. It's not a vitamin, dude.
It's not Flintstones. It can and has killed people, obviously. And that's why and it's not going to hurt me. Yeah, but you idiot. You know that it can hurt people. You know that it has side effects, potentially fatal. It has mental health side effects. It has side effects on your heart. You know that. Okay, we're going to move past it because there's no point. It's been prescribed for other things. Okay. I have sinus headaches. I'm going to take chemo. They do chemo for other things. Why not take it for my sinus headaches? What's the worst that's going to happen? It's not going to hurt me. It's so stupid and probably a lie. That's the stupidest part of it. So really fast, I want to jump to the chat. We're going to continue, but there are like probably 3 options we'll say here. So I want you to type a short message. Either taking it if you think he's taking it, lying if you think that he's just lying, and placebo if you think he thinks he's taking it, but he's not actually taking it. So let's just see it. Either taking it, lying, or placebo. That's my guess, but we're going to push forward really fast. I want to show you another video because this is really something. Take a look at this.
I would have told you that 3-4 days ago, but we never had a chance because you never asked me the question.
Yeah.
You never ask about my health. You're always asking about the health of the country, the deaths, and of course, you don't want to know about me. Mm-hmm. Selfish reporters, self-obsessed.
It's a good point. They didn't spontaneously decide to ask if you were taking a potentially lethal medicine that doesn't work on a disease that you don't have. Yeah, they hadn't asked you about that for whatever reason.
It's a disgruntled wife who they didn't even notice he got his hair cut.
Exactly. So I'm seeing the response, and I'm gonna guess it is 98 out of 100 lying, 1 placebo, and 1 somebody just put a whole bunch of lying emojis. So yeah, most people think that he's lying. Yeah, he just made it up, man, and he probably made it up right then. As he didn't know when he started the sentence where he revealed he was taking hydroxychloroquine. He didn't know he was going to reveal that he was taking it, or say that he was taking it. It's just so stupid. And like we said with the quiz, I don't know exactly how it's stupid. Is it that he's actually taking it, that he's taking for preventive use a thing that he has seen is probably not effective in dealing with this and could by itself kill him, that he would lie about it and tell and again inspire his followers to take this and potentially die as a result of it? I don't know, and I don't care. I'm going to say something that is going to become a larger and larger percentage of my total speech as we move forward over the next 6 months. My conclusion is vote him the hell out of office so that we don't have to deal with this BS anymore. How about that?
That's a good conclusion for every Trump story.
Yeah, unfortunately. Okay, so really fast. I just want to let him dig himself a little bit deeper. So let's see if his doctor's involved in this.
Did the White House doctor recommend that you take that? Is that why you're taking it?
Yeah, White House doctor. I didn't recommend. No, I asked him, what do you think? He said, well, if you'd like it. I said, yeah, I'd like it. I'd like to take it. A lot of people are taking it. A lot of frontline workers are taking hydroxychloroquine. A lot of I don't take it because, hey, people said, oh, maybe he owns the company. No, I don't own the company. You know what? I want the people of this nation to feel good. I don't want them being sick.
That's how I know he's lying. The doctor, he didn't say, do you want to take it? Go ahead. Do you want to take it? Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, that's all good.
I just want people to feel good. I just want them to feel good. Yeah. Well, again,
everyone should be on heroin then.
Exactly. And that has a demonstrated effect. Okay, so he mentioned there that the doctor got involved, and this is where, like, the most exciting thing about working in the Trump White House is you wake up every day not knowing what lie you're going to have to tell. And the lie today was that he is taking hydroxychloroquine. So they put out a letter for what passes for a doctor in the White House these days. And people noticed something pretty quickly about the letter. I'm going to show you just a little bit of it. Saying after numerous discussions, he and I, this is the doctor, and Trump, had regarding the evidence for and against the use of hydroxychloroquine, we concluded the potential benefit from treatment outweighed the relative risks. In consultation with our interagency partners and subject matter experts around the country, I continue to monitor the myriad studies investigating potential COVID-19 therapies, and I anticipate employing the same shared medical decision-making based on the evidence at hand in the future, which is very interesting. And nowhere in that letter does it say that he told Trump to take it, or that he prescribed it for Trump, or that Trump is actually taking it. It's nowhere in the letter. And that's their evidence.
He's lying. I'm done. He's lying.
He's definitely lying. I like the idea, because he said he takes a pill every day. I liked the idea that he was having 1 Reese's Pieces each day thinking he was taking hydroxychloroquine. But that's probably not what it is.
That's just what he seasons his steak with.
Yeah. Look, you do have to give it to Trump, though. He is convinced that this thing is helpful, and he's not going to let, evidence convince him otherwise. It is a sign of strength to go with your gut. And I would say to Trump that the doctors who tried to deceive you about this medicine and tell you that it's not helpful, you saw through those lies. They also will tell you that you're supposed to take a certain amount. But if a certain amount is good for you, then 2 times as much is definitely better, right? 10 times as much.
Well,
even better.
As he knows, there's only a finite amount of energy in the body, and there's only a finite amount of hydroxychloroquine that the body naturally produces. So you're going to be more beneficial on the long run if you take a ton.
Exactly. And look, yes, I feel perfectly comfortable making that sort of joke because neither Emma nor I believe that he has or has ever actually taken any hydroxychloroquine.
Yes, we don't want Trump to die.
Yes. Okay, super fast. Let's read some super chats. Diana Ball says, John, this is really common. In the Navy, we get family separation pay if we are at sea for 30 or more days Most exercises are planned for 29 days. Because humans are the worst. Franklin Sharp Slicer says, to the tune of Burger King, headaches, nausea, and some hair loss. These are the side effects, boss, when you take that hydroxychloroquine. I don't necessarily know the song, but I appreciate you trying to enliven our lives with art. Rob Shively says, only an administration this stupid and selfish and achieve this many flat-out evil acts without really trying. Evil is their only word that fits. Agree? Franklin says, blurry vision, irregular heartbeat, though there are those who think that's really neat, and maybe stomach pain that's always thrown in. It's a multi-part Super Chat song. He's like the Weird Al of Super Chat. Yarmul says, thanks for the work that you do to keep us informed. Thank you, Yarmul. Brian says there was more outrage from the 4 deaths in Benghazi. Yes, so that's something we've been saying for a long time, and it only gets more true every single day. Bonnie says, my dad is such a great human. Sadly, he is under the Hannity trance. That is unfortunate.
Yes, Hannity is the one that I was talking about that, two of my loved ones are into.
Would you feel better if they were into a Tucker Carlson, perhaps?
Maybe.
I would.
Because sometimes he has interesting guests on. Maybe they would hear a different point of view, but yeah.
Maybe. Abby the Spoon Lady says, thanks for covering this story about the National Guard. I'm hoping you'll post again if there's updates. Thank you. I mean, there's not going to be consequences for screwing over the National Guard. The Republic, like Sean Hannity loves the troops, right? Dude's covered in all these like medallions for how much he loves the law enforcement and soldiers and all that stuff. Okay, well, they're screwing over the troops. Sean, step up. Defend them. Nope, not gonna. Doesn't care. Robert Schaefer says, go Gophers, watch them. No, go Turks. I don't know what that's a reference to, but thank you for the super chat. Do appreciate it. With that, let's jump to another story. Man, the hour passes by on these Tuesdays. It passes by so fast. Okay, let's jump to this. Not long after Donald Trump revealed that he was totally actually taking hydroxychloroquine, Speaker Nancy Pelosi was asked what she thought about it, and here is what she had to say to Anderson Cooper.
As far as the president is concerned, he's our president, and I would rather he not be taking something that has not been approved by the scientists, especially in his age group and in his, shall we say, weight group, what is morbidly obese, they say. So I think it's not a good idea.
I liked it. I am so critical of Nancy Pelosi, but come on, first of all, what I liked more, and I don't like it as an electoral strategy. I think it's stupid. It only appeals to the hard, true blue core, whatever. Mm-hmm. Democrats, I get it. It's an offhand comment. It doesn't matter, but it's also literally
really fast. It's an offhand comment.
Okay,
you don't think she planned that?
No, she did. She had like a 15-second awkward lead up to it. I totally, yes, know that she planned it in advance. But I also don't understand why the left should be like upset that she does this. Trump makes fun of people's physical appearance on a daily basis. There can be one tiny comment about how he's fat because I know it bothers him.
Yes. Okay. So I want to try to address a few parts of that as we go back and forth on this. I mean, so I posted about how it seemed needless, and all that stuff, because I am dead set on making sure that as few people like me as possible. So when I see them being happy, I try to tamp it down. Yeah. So Trump is going to attack people no matter what. He's going to do it viciously. What I worry about is, I want you to take a look at this tweet. This is a tweet from Ben Shapiro. Said, nobody is happier than Trump today that Pelosi called him morbidly obese. Now we can just riff freely on our overuse of Botox without fear of blowback. Which, look, yes, is that a stupid tweet? Yes. Like Trump has ever been worried about blowback for attacking someone's appearance. Ben Shapiro, you moron. But they will say that, and lots of them are saying that. The thing is, Donald Trump will attack people in the most vicious ways possible. Within the next 24 hours, he's going to accuse Nancy Pelosi on Twitter of drinking the blood of infants. He will do that. That is baked into the horrible situation we're in. What I am hoping for is that we will get to the end of Trump without it becoming thoroughly normalized that everyone should be that bad. It's probably a vain hope, but that is a hope that I cling to.
The thing, though, is that most Americans do see politics as a sport. And so why Trump has been successful is because he's a WWE caricature and he'll name people and like mock them publicly. I do think that there is some benefit to not being so buttoned up and being able to sling mud and kind of go back and forth at each other. I mean, I know that the cruelty is horrible, but these are powerful people, and I don't really care if they're trading barbs on CNN.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the thing I don't necessarily get is how is this very different? Like, in terms of the fat shaming, it's different, but how is this that different than like the clapping or the ripping up the speech? If we're going to criticize Nancy Pelosi for her performative stuff, that this is what that is.
Well, the ripping of the speech I despised. It was just dumbest. I was about to swear. Dumbest stuff I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. But isn't that what this is? I don't respect you. I hate you. You're stupid.
There's something different about that because that seemed more performative than what this is. Mm-hmm. And also because Trump, you know, he's known for his insults, so he can take an insult back. Specifically an insult about his appearance, which he does all the time. I mean, sometimes I enjoy it when he like crouched down behind the podium to make fun of Mike Bloomberg being short. Are we going to pretend that wasn't great?
I don't remember that. I can't even think of a time when Mike Bloomberg was in the race. That's the before times, before the fall of man.
And that was great. I mean, he did it all the time in Little Marco. Like, this is his game. And the ripping up of the paper, I think, is adjacent to that.
Yeah. Look, I think that you can be strong and aggressive. Like, I want Biden to be stronger and more aggressive. Him rolling out his nickname for Trump, which is President Tweety, just, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's
sucks.
Weak. But
that sucks.
I don't want him to, like, I don't want Biden to tweet a photo of Trump photoshopped onto Predator and it says Trump's a pedophile. Like, that's the direction that we're headed in as a society. That's all
disagree.
it is.
It's different. This is okay. It's just an off. I know that she planned it, but in theory, it's an offhand comment on a cable news show. I don't think we should be developing strategy around it as Democrats, but I do think you can make a sly, mocking comment here and there to a president who has no problem dishing it out a little bit.
Well, look, I get that I'm wrong and everyone disagrees with me.
Is that what the chat says?
It's not super clear. They're pretty nice. But I know Cenk tweeted like sort of not 100% in favor of Nancy Pelosi, but kind of in favor, and I do disagree.
Of course Cenk would be in favor of this.
Now here's the thing. Okay, so let's say I were to come over to your side and say it was an offhand thing. It wasn't part of a It's not like tomorrow she's going to do an interview with Don Lemon and talk about his man boobs or something. Let's say it just ends right here.
Right.
Here's the issue, is that once she puts it out there, it produces things like this, which I screenshotted earlier today, which was, that's one screenshot, 3 trending hashtags, hashtag President Plump, hashtag Plump Trump, hashtag Girther Movement.
Yeah, that's the worst of this stupid resistance.
Yes, and the thing is, I saw a tweet yesterday, I forget exactly who it was from, I retweeted it, I probably should have remembered it better, but the tweet was just, I think it was, y'all know the fat people you like use Twitter too. And it's like, yeah, that's the thing. Oh, and I know it's not popular, and I'm not cool, and I'm not edgy to want to.
It's not like, first edgy of all, I to support Trump. Nancy Pelosi. I don't like the fact that
I'm not talking about
laughed.
That.
Okay,
I mean specifically the desire to troll him back in the way that he trolls.
No, John, your instinct is correct on the macro level because the resistance sucks at trolling and they can't do it. So, like, the only way to beat the ultimate troll is with policy and with substance and with a grassroots movement that trumps his trash talking and false populism, but genuine grassroots movement with real people behind him who are eager and excited to vote for him.
Yeah.
The enthusiasm gap between Biden, people who are going to vote for Biden, and people who are going to vote for Trump is still large, is massive, even more so than with Hillary Clinton, who people, independents and Republicans largely despise, but she had genuine enthusiasm within the Democratic Party. Biden doesn't even have that. So like the trolling, it's why it even seems more egregious and empty is because the Democrats have no leg to stand on and are in a pathetic, scarily weak position. You control when you're on top. The Democrats are at the bottom right now.
Clip that out. Yes, I do agree with the point, though. Yeah, and look, I understand that there are some people that he's hurt us in a variety of ways, policy ways, but also the, shredding our sanity ways, and you want to hit him back. I get that. I would just say, if you want him to hurt, think about the day he has to walk out of the White House. First of all, he probably won't. They'll probably cancel the election and all that stuff. But if it does happen, that is what will make him hurt. Okay, I'm the bad guy.
No, I thought that was a good way to end the segment.
It is. And look, I like that we can disagree with each other. Especially I like if we can disagree with each other and chat supports me over you. That would be ideal. So, wink.
Is that what's happening?
No,
I can't read it.
People are talking about other things. Okay, so Dane Withheld super chatted to us. When Trump was talking to those small business owners who own 700 plus individual restaurants, it really shows how he negotiates. He completely caved and let them have extended time and benefits. Interesting. Franklin, I appreciate the super chat, but it's getting a bit gross. Thank you, though.
What?
Nothing. Some of the lyrics were a little bit gross. Oh my god. Okay, so we will talk about this perhaps a little bit later on, but I don't know if it's Craig or if it's Bart, but they so they're two remote producers who are putting together this document that I'm reading from, and they have a long paragraph of questions not resolved by Game of Thrones that frustrate them to this day. And it is a novel of its own.
It's Bart and Craig?
I don't...
Yes.
I think it might have been Craig. Well, Bart, he's the sort of one who would usually engage with social...
Definitely.
With the pop culture
and
stuff.
Bart is very, smart about TV and movies and stuff, and so he knows what's up.
Yeah, he's mostly smart. I don't know. He really liked 2001: A Space Odyssey, so I have to question some of his... I mostly just say this to wind him up. Anyway, let's turn to... We have a few more stories I want to get to, and I really hope that we can get to all of these. So let me jump back to this. Sort of really sick update to the Ahmaud Arbery case. We have a few updates, but the first I want to talk about is the fact that the sister, Lindsay McMichael, the sister of two of the individuals involved in that brutal murder, apparently took a photo of Arbery's body and posted it on Snapchat, a decision that a lot of people had a problem with. And when she was reached out to find out why she had decided to do this, this is what she had to say. I had no nefarious or malicious intent when I posted that picture. The thing is, I'm a huge fan of true crime. I listen to 4 or 5 podcasts a week. I'm constantly watching that sort of thing.
Yeah, my favorite murder just turns you into a sociopath, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's a true crime podcast, John.
Yeah, is it?
I don't know. My best friend loves them. And she also is a sociopath.
Really? Oh,
no,
so I get
just
that,
like this woman.
Yeah, a lot of people really into the true crime. I get it.
It's one of the most pathetic excuses. They should test that whole family for psychopathy and sociopathy. I mean, that is an unbelievable defense. You could say that you wanted to document the death. You wanted to show that perhaps, I don't know, that you wanted photo evidence or something like that. But to say that it was some sort of sick fascination that you had because of true crime podcasts and TV shows.
Yeah.
That means that you are looking at that human being as removed as you would be if you're listening to a podcast or hearing about a murder. No, that person's in front of you, dead, because of your brother.
Yeah, and your family wasn't... It's just such... It's, think go through a couple drafts and then speak. She goes on to say, it was more of a holy S, I can't believe this has happened. It was absolutely poor judgment. So she at least does acknowledge that it was poor judgment to do this. I mean, there is in these sorts of cases, there's always a PR battle about the credibility and motives and past of the people on both sides. There have to be, because in a case like this, where yet again, white individuals have brutally murdered a non-white individual, there is always going to be Fox and the right is going to try to dig into the victim's past and try to present them as having... They basically want to come up with an excuse for their viewers to think that this person deserved to die. And they believe in a few different ways that they found that. So at first, it was that he had visited a construction site, and so he deserved to be killed. Then there's a video from 2017 where cops found him sitting in a park by himself and tried to tase him. That is going around because people, again, they're desperate to want to believe that he deserved to die. So that's happening. And so on the other side, I would imagine that if you were one of the two murderers in this case, you'd probably prefer if another member of your family hadn't seemed to make a joke or a spectacle out of the death of Ahmaud Arbery. I would probably expect that's what you'd want.
Might be beneficial for their defense, but it seems like complete callousness runs in the family. And evil. Yeah,
exactly. Now, we do have a statement as well from Esley Merritt, attorney for the Arbery family, who said, the picture Lindsay McMichael posted was very disturbing and very disturbing to the family. It actually fits the pattern of the McMichael family engaging in a weird, violent form of voyeurism. And by the way, I don't remember if we knew this when last we talked about this case, but apparently Arbery had been chased for 4 minutes by these individuals who, again, for 4 minutes chased him and decided rather than calling the police, which would already be insane, they decided to do what they did. And the family, by the way, is now calling for the third individual, the one who was in the back car and was filming it, to be arrested as well, because as they point out, he was participating in the chase. He helped in some ways to box in Arbery from being able to flee from these gun-wielding maniacs. And so we don't know if that's going to happen. He has apparently taken a lie detector test about some elements of the case, but that's what we know at this point anyway.
You know, it kind of undercuts your argument that Arbery might be dangerous if you are slowly following him in a car when he has none and has nothing on him for several minutes before murdering him in cold blood. So I don't even think manslaughter. I don't even think, and this is premeditated murder. Yeah. Premeditated murder. Because they had all of that time to maybe rethink after they were stalking him that they didn't need to shoot him down and murder him in the street. They could have thought about that. They could have called the police. They could have done whatever they wanted to. They could have taken any other action based on their racist implications and racist thought patterns. No, but they decided to murder him anyway. So I think that threshold counts for premeditated murder, and I hope they get locked up for a really long time.
I don't know. I feel like this like pit of dread in my stomach that even with how brutal the video is, how much it reveals, that in the end is just going to be another case where nothing.
And that's how black and brown Americans feel every single day when they have to have their dealings with the police. They don't ever expect justice, and why would they?
Yeah. Okay, let's move quickly to another story. Very different one. Okay. Make sure that I have all of this. Give me 1 second to see if they confirmed who had written those messages. It was Craig, who points out, by the way, that he was the one that won the TYT Game of Thrones death pool that I put together in the last season.
I won my death pool.
Did you really?
Not last season, but the season before. No, it was last season.
It was the last one?
God. Yeah.
I did not do well in it, man.
I forgot to participate. I was just...
Can I just mention, just because someone had tweeted out, it's been 1 year since, and it was 2 screenshots from the last episode. It was Tyrion saying, effectively, who has a better story than Bran the Broken? I will admit that was not handled well.
Will you admit that Tyrion's character, was completely stripped of everything that made him amazing once he started
working for Daenerys?
Daenerys's Hand of the Queen?
I liked him in the second to last season. It's going to be... Here's what's going to blow your mind. When George R. R. Martin nails it in the book and the Bran storyline makes all the sense in the world. That's going to be trippy.
I could totally see Bran making... But, like... Yeah, and you know what my favorite thing would be? Like no one knows what the three-eyed raven is. No one knows. But every time they would, like, talk to... his only explanation for being completely emotionless and bizarre was, I'm the three-eyed raven now. Just stare at them. And they were like... That makes sense.
Yeah.
We don't need any further context. Also, let's never talk about Rickon again. It's only our brother slain.
That's
Bye!
True. Yeah, it's going to be so different when you have, like, 100 pages of Bran's point of view at that point.
And
so we'll
one
see.
more
I look forward to it.
How they completely got, like, destroyed Varys' character. The whole, like, Varys and Littlefinger rivalry at the beginning of the series was incredible. And then that terrible death with, whatever, Sansa and Arya... never brings it up again. Varys never talks about him and how important he was and pivotal he was as a counterpoint to him. It's just trash.
I'm not going to go that far. Didn't like the Bran thing, though. A lot of other people have better stories than Bran the Pumpkin. All of them do. Anyway, I just thought of Miss Sunday. Anyway, so many sad moments in that. Okay, let's jump back into the news. There is a potential disaster brewing in the Bay of Bengal right now. To just add on top of the continuing coronavirus epidemic the countries in the region are dealing with, let's talk about Super Cyclone Fan. Became the strongest storm ever recorded in the Bay on Monday night, after intensifying with sustained wind speeds of up to 270 kilometers per hour. It is just the second super cyclone to hit the Bay of Bengal since records began. During the last, back in 1999, nearly 15,000 villages were affected and almost 10,000 people were killed. And you can see here sort of an expected track of its progress throughout Wednesday and Thursday. And look, this is obviously purely on its own merits, potentially a disaster. Like we said, the last one killed 10,000 people. By the way, from that graphic, I believe that you can see Kolkata in the path of it. There are lots of people living there, and so potentially disaster for that reason. But also, we are, of course, still in the middle of a pandemic, and that means that mass movements of people, mass sheltering of people, once they've been moved out of the way of this storm, is going to, bring its own potential dangers as well. And so, I feel horrible for the people. Like, they're saying up to 300,000 people in the coastal areas of West Bengal and Odisha are in immediate danger from the storm and need to be moved. And they're already under the gun from coronavirus. And, they have cyclone shelters, 12,000 of them, but you have to social distance. And so, theoretically, it's going to be much harder. You're going to have to move people farther. It's going to affect more of the region. And this is, at the very least, for people in the U.S., a reminder that it's not like the other threats that we face have suddenly gone away. It's very easy to callously throw off hey, more people die from car accidents and the regular flu than coronavirus, which isn't even true. But even if it were, those deaths are still happening too. And so this is a reminder that we have other disasters that are creeping up on top of the one that we're currently still struggling with. And
another reminder that science needs to be listened to. Yeah. We're seeing the intensity of these storms just, multiply and multiply. And that has to do directly with oceans warming, climate change, science being disregarded because it doesn't pose an immediate threat that's right in front of your face. Mm-hmm. The cyclone isn't about to hit these Republicans or conservatives or whatever right in the face, so they don't want to act now. But as we've seen in this pandemic, as we've seen in the discussion of climate change for decades now, we need to take proactive action, not reactive action, when it comes to handling natural disasters and pandemics or diseases like this. And people in coastal areas like this, in highly densely populated areas like in this part of India, they're going to be hit the hardest. And the poorer you are, the less resources you have, you're going to reap these deadly consequences more acutely than the people who are making the decisions at the top, the callous, reckless decisions at the top.
100%. And yeah, I wonder, hopefully they'll be able to get people out of the way, they'll weather it fine, do testing and stuff like that. But if it is bad, any sort of disaster like this internationally right now is going to face much more significant hurdles in terms of international aid. Lack of resources and lack of bandwidth to deal with the issues of other countries. That's certainly a fear that I have. And here domestically, right now they're facing this super cyclone. Hurricane season in the U.S. For much of the East Coast starts in June. And we've been hit by both devastating hurricanes and devastating wildfires, the different coasts, over the past couple of years. When those hit, like, what's going to end up happening when you're having people packed in to limited areas? Or theoretically, you have people, say, in Florida, a state that's reopening, trying to get back to normal as much as possible. If those people have to flee to other parts of the state or to other states in the region to get away from a number of hurricanes, as has happened, I have family in Florida that has had to flee to Georgia multiple times. And Georgia itself is having issues. All of this compounds itself. And so I don't have any solutions, but I want people to bear in mind that these things act on each other. And I am very worried that, as Emma said, that people aren't going to listen to the experts in either end of this, the pandemic side or, the natural disaster and the links to climate change.
Yeah.
Okay, really fast, before we jump to our last topic, and it looks like we're only going to go a little bit over, unless we really launch in it with Game of Thrones. And by the way, if you are frustrated with the amount of Game of Thrones talk in the audience, I understand it and will not stop. And if you believe that just because the show ended a year ago, that means that I am ever going to stop talking about it, wake up.
Agreed. Hear, hear.
Anyway, FRB in the super chat said, I know how it's going. That's why I keep asking. Caring is also asking when it's not okay. Hashtag it's okay to not be okay. Much love from France. Thank you, FRB. I appreciate that. Are you a Clue fan? Have you seen the movie?
No, I haven't. We were actually talking about it last night. My family and I.
Definitely watch it. Obi-Wan Kenobi has some quotes from Clue in there about Trump. But I will wait until you've seen it to let you know.
Yes.
Blaze says Trump's face as he says he's taking it pauses, and you can see that he can't help himself. I'm going to say it in that moment. It's so him. By the way, this morning, Kayleigh McEnany was asked about it. And if you watch the video, during her initial response to the questions where she's like, well, it's a fact that he says he takes it, she can't help but smile. Like, she's got a bit of the Sean Spicer. I don't think that she's going to last because, like, Sarah Huckabee Sanders could dead face. What I'm saying is BS. All of this is BS, but I don't care. It's my job. I'm going to say it. But Kayleigh McEnany gets that she is lying for an idiot. And that's why I don't think that she can do it.
She has even more media experience than Spicer. So I just feel like she kind of relishes it. She's able to perform.
Maybe. We'll see. Okay, let's jump to the last story. I'm interested in your opinion on this. I want to show you a still shot from an episode of Sean Hannity's program, I believe from last night. And it's a chart that he's showing. And it's not one of the charts where he accidentally makes the case for like all the policies that AOC is pushing for. Those are always fun. No, this one, he manages to pack so much dishonesty into one graphic that it almost seems impossible. Take a look at this. So this is a comparison of California, Florida, I believe it's supposed to be Michigan, New York, and Texas, on a number of different metrics, including their population, their state income tax for some reason. Not sure what that has to do with COVID-19 cases and deaths, which he logs next, and then the mortality rate there. And he seems to be trying to make the case that states that have opened up have fewer deaths, I think, but there's a few significant problems there. The first that I think we should mention is that he has a listing for mortality rate there, and you would think that means he's showing how deadly the disease is. So for the people who get it, what % die? But that's not what those numbers show at all. Do you know what those numbers are? He is literally listing the percentage of the entire state population that has died from the disease at this point. Because if you look at the numbers, so for instance, for Michigan, he's got 52,000 cases, 4,900 deaths. that indicates that, I don't have a calculator with me, but slightly less than 10% of the people who got it died from it. And the last thing that Sean Hannity wants to do is list a 10% fatality rate. So instead, he just lists everybody in Michigan. What percentages died at this point. It is so fundamentally unethical what he is doing right there. Whew.
Yeah, and I just wonder, producers, like, you guys want to get jobs elsewhere, right? I mean, I look, I know that it's hard to get jobs in media and Fox News. You got to sell your soul a little to move up and do all that stuff. But do you really feel good about yourself when you are listing entire statewide mortality rates in order to make it seem like fewer and fewer people are dying? Mm-hmm. To underplay a threat that could really harm Sean Hannity's core demo of old people. I mean, it's not like it's spring chickens watching his show. So I think that it's unethical is, underplaying it.
100%. I don't know, like, I'll put it up a little bit. What does the income tax have to do with any of that?
No,
it's not.
Just you'll have more money and you won't die.
It's like my immune system was weakened by the higher state taxes I was paying. And of course, let's say he just decided, I want to have stuff about coronavirus, but I also want to make a point about taxes. Also, maybe mention that in most of those states, the Republican states that have effectively no income tax, they tend to have a significantly higher sales tax. And the reason they do that is because they do still need money to run the state government, but they don't want an income tax because an income tax would hit people who make a lot of money. They want a sales tax, which is obviously one of the most regressive taxes imaginable. So he hides that from his audience as well, that they are still being taxed, but taxed in a way that hurts the poor more than the rich.
Exactly. And also the mortality rate figures he shows there, they're not even, different enough to actually prove the misleading point that he's trying to make. Like, New York isn't that significantly higher than Texas or Florida, and California isn't either. So I don't even understand what that adds beyond just being underplaying the mortality rate of the coronavirus.
Exactly. Yeah, and I wish that I could have any hope that the people watching his program last night looked at that and thought, oh my God, is that like 8% of New York cases that got it died? That's terrifying. No, they're just distracted by 0.146%. Oh my God, that's not too bad. Okay, well then make a graphic of the percentage of the Texas population that has died from Islamic terrorism over the past couple of years. How high of a percentage is that? So we shouldn't do anything about it. Presumably. What's their inheritance tax there? That's what I want to know. No, how are we supposed to fight against this? People who have so little regard for what their own devoted viewers actually think about the world, and not just lying to them about the state, the sales tax or whatever, but sending them out there ill-equipped to not get sick and die. There was polls recently showing that like older voters are apparently turning away from Trump and towards Biden. And I don't know why exactly that is, but if there is a reason, if there is an explanation for that, I hope it is that they realize that Fox doesn't care if they live or die. Like if that doesn't drive your political behavior, I don't know what should. Like lack of regard for whether you die. Anyway. Okay. So we are already over, so my plans that I had been hatching to fit another 15 minutes of talking about Game of Thrones probably isn't going to work. But Emma, as always, thank you for joining us. Really do appreciate it. We got to work on our pop culture movie and TV show idea. Yeah, I totally agree. Thanks for having me, John, and thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, thank you. See you later. Bye. Okay, and everybody out there, I'm going to catch up a bit on some of the social media activity before we call it a day. Let's see. Liberal Snowflake had sent in a tweet at hashtag TDR Live saying, can we start live streaming as pill popping? I mean, yeah, if you tried to get him to actually like take the pill on air, they'd make a fake pill. It's just lies from top to bottom. Okay, let's see. Super chats. Trump's campaign manager just facepalmed a lot, Justin Matthews says. Yeah, no, you gotta lie. That's what he signed up for. Randall Williams says, I've got more than 5 on it. I think that's on the lying there. Blaze says, Trump is in WWE Hall of Fame. Nancy is not. Just saying. That's funny. Is he really? Harum says, 2 drugs. Same drug I took as part of psychiatric research. Columbia U. It made me extremely ill, and it's given by infusion. Yeah. Super Duper John says, thoughts. Super Duper missiles and classified info. I didn't cover the Super Duper missiles because just thinking about it for a few seconds makes me demonstrably dumber. The world we live in. Paul Sav says, great show as always. All the best from Scotland. Thank you. All the best to Scotland. Jesse the Vegan Miner says 90 days. Jesse, I apologize. I don't understand the message, but thank you for the support. Stefanik says, I love true crime and listen to my favorite murder, Fall Line, last podcast on the left, and I'm addicted to investigation discovery. I would never take a pic of a dead person and share it. What a sociopath. Or mentally messed up by the people that they grew up with. I feel uncomfortable like talking about, a private individual there, but when you do stuff like that, you make yourself a part of the case, unfortunately. Carson Rodke saying, on this day in 2005, Revenge of the Sith was released, which is much cooler than Game of Thrones. Fight me. I wish that I could, because that merits it. Kimberly says, 1:50 a.m. in Australia, first and last live stream I catch. Kimberly, thank you for catching it. That is crazy late. Carson, oh, I got that one. Kurt says, I knew Trump was going to say I'm taking the hydroxychloroquine SOB. I should have called it. P.S. Go vegan, mofos. Remember, compassion is contagious. Don't be a pseudo-environmentalist. Thank you, Kurt. And let's see. Craig has a lot of questions, like what happened to the Dothraki. That's a great point. I don't know. Can Bran see into the future affect the past? He at least minorly can affect the past. I wish that I could do your full response, Craig. I appreciate it. Is Dario still running things in Marine? I guess. I wonder how that works out, especially once he finds out that she died. Probably bad, I would have to guess. You guys are crazy. Okay, I'll read this personally, but we gotta stop the stream. Anyway, thank you everybody for joining both Emma and myself on the show today. We got JR coming up tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun. Hope you have a good day. Stay safe out there. Wait, for those of you who are still here, I saw your messages and I realized what you're saying. So hold. Hello. Hey, bud. Everybody really wanted to see you. He's a very good dog. He was laying in bed, covered up by a blanket, which is really the only thing that he ever wants. He just likes to be warm and comfortable. Good boy. Okay, everybody. Thank you for the likes. I didn't even remember to prompt you, but we did get to 1,000, so thank you for that. You earned that, dog. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow.